The Armenian Genocide, one of the darkest chapters in human history, unfolded in the waning years of the Ottoman Empire, a period marked by political upheaval, nationalist fervor, and the cataclysm of World War I. To narrate this story is to walk through a landscape of profound tragedy, human cruelty, and ultimately, the indomitable resilience of the Armenian people. I'll tell it with clarity, grounding the events in historical context, while weaving in the human cost and the enduring spirit of survival. This is not just a recounting of facts, but a tribute to a people who, against all odds, refused to be erased. By the early 20th century, Armenians had lived for centuries in their ancestral homeland, a region spanning eastern Anatolia and the Caucasus, much of it under Ottoman rule. They were a distinct ethnic and religious group, predominantly Christian in a Muslim-majority empire. As a minority, they faced systemic discrimination under the Ottoman millet system, which granted limited autonomy but imposed heavy taxes and second-class status. Despite this, Armenians thrived as merchants, artisans, and intellectuals, contributing immensely to the empire's cultural and economic life. The late 19th century, however, brought storm clouds. The Ottoman Empire, dubbed the sick man of Europe, was crumbling under internal strife and external pressures. Nationalist movements among Turks, Kurds, and other groups clashed with growing Armenian aspirations for equality and reform. The Hamidian massacres of the 1890s, under Sultan Abdul Hamid II, saw tens of thousands of Armenians killed in pogroms, a grim foreshadowing of what was to come. These atrocities, coupled with unfulfilled promises of reform, deepened Armenian distrust and fueled demands for self-determination. In 1908, the Young Turk Revolution promised a new era of constitutional reform and equality. The Committee of Union and Progress, led by figures like Enver Pasha, Talat Pasha, and Jamal Pasha, seized power, initially raising hopes among Armenians for a more inclusive state. But these hopes were short-lived. The CUP's vision morphed into a virulent form of Turkish nationalism, viewing minorities, especially Armenians, as threats to a unified Turkic state. The loss of Balkan territories in 1912-1913 and the Ottoman Empire's entry into World War I in 1914, allied with Germany, intensified this paranoia. Armenians, suspected of sympathizing with Russia, a rival power with its own Armenian population, became scapegoats. By 1915, the CUP had devised a systematic plan to eliminate the Armenian population. The genocide was not a spontaneous outburst, but a calculated campaign, orchestrated through state mechanisms and fueled by propaganda that painted Armenians as traitors. The war provided a perfect cover. With global attention distracted, the Ottoman government could act with impunity. On April 24, 1915, the genocide began in earnest. In Constantinople, hundreds of Armenian intellectuals, leaders, and cultural figures, poets, priests, doctors, and politicians, were rounded up, deported, and executed. This decapitation of the Armenian elite was designed to cripple the community's ability to resist or organize. April 24 is now commemorated as Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day, a solemn marker of the catastrophe's onset. What followed was a campaign of unimaginable horror. Across the empire, Armenian men were conscripted into labor battalions, only to be worked to death or massacred outright. Women, children, and the elderly were forcibly deported from their homes, often with little notice, and sent on death marches into the Syrian desert, particularly to Deir ez-Zor. These marches were exercises in cruelty. Families were stripped of possessions, starved and subjected to rape, torture, and murder by Ottoman soldiers, gendarmes, and local militias, often with the complicity of Kurdish and Turkish civilians incited by the state. The numbers are staggering. By conservative estimates, 1 to 1.5 million Armenians perished between 1915 and 1923, through massacres, starvation, disease, and exposure. Entire villages were erased. Churches, schools, and cultural landmarks were looted or destroyed. Survivors recounted scenes of rivers choked with bodies, children torn from mothers, and mass graves dug in haste. Some Armenians were forced to convert to Islam to survive, while others were absorbed into Turkish or Kurdish households, their identities erased. The genocide also targeted other Christian minorities, like Assyrians and Greeks, but the Armenians bore the brunt of the destruction. The CUP's goal was not just murder, but the annihilation of Armenian culture, history, and presence in their homeland. Properties were confiscated, records destroyed, and place names changed to erase any trace of Armenian existence. As reports of the atrocities trickled out, the world was slow to act. Diplomats like Henry Morgenthau, the U.S. ambassador to the Ottoman Empire, documented the horrors, calling them a campaign of race extermination. Journalists and missionaries bore witness, their accounts published in Western newspapers. Yet, embroiled in World War I, the Allied powers issued only symbolic condemnations, promising post-war justice that never fully materialized. The Ottoman government deflected criticism, claiming the deportations were necessary for security. After the war, the Ottoman Empire collapsed, and the Young Turk leaders fled. Some were tried in absentia, but the new Turkish Republic, founded in 1923 under Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, distanced itself from the genocide while suppressing discussion of it. To this day, Turkey denies the genocide, framing it as a civil conflict or wartime necessity, a stance that remains a source of international tension and pain for Armenians. The genocide scattered Armenians across the globe. Survivors found refuge in Syria, Lebanon, France, the United States, and elsewhere, forming a vibrant but grieving diaspora. Orphanages overflowed with children who had lost everything. Yet even in exile, Armenians clung to their identity. They rebuilt communities, preserved their language, music, and cuisine, and established churches and schools. The diaspora became a testament to their refusal to be extinguished. In the Soviet Union, the Armenian Republic emerged as a homeland for some survivors, though under the constraints of Soviet rule. In the diaspora, Armenians excelled in business, science, arts, and politics. From composer Aram Khachaturian to singer Cher, their contributions a quiet defiance of the attempt to erase them. The Armenian genocide was a calculated attempt to destroy a people, but it failed to break their spirit. The resilience of the Armenians is a story of survival against annihilation, a testament to human endurance. From the ashes of 1915, they rebuilt their lives with fierce determination. They preserved their ancient language, one of the oldest in the world, and their Christian faith, rooted in the world's first Christian state, established in 301 CE. They turned pain into art, loss into legacy. Today, Armenians honor their martyrs through remembrance and advocacy, ensuring the world does not forget. The genocide's recognition, acknowledged by over 30 countries, though not universally, remains a fight for justice, a demand that truth prevail over denial. In Armenia and the diaspora, the Armenian people continue to thrive, their culture a vibrant tapestry of tradition and innovation. The annual pilgrimage to Yerevan's Tsitsernakaberd Memorial, where an eternal flame burns, symbolizes their unyielding commitment to memory and survival. Against the weight of unimaginable loss, the Armenian people stand tall, their resilience a beacon of hope and a defiant proclamation. They are here, they endure, and they will never be forgotten.